Clint Didier, he is running for the Congress in Washington's 4th District. Do we have him on yet? He's going to move.
Not yet, no.
Miss his opportunity to be on the program. But he is, the guys at FreedomWorks are really excited about him. And I have not met him yet, but we will see. Also, Dan Bongino is coming up in just a minute. Out of all the guys that we know that needs to be in Washington, D.C., it's Dan Bongino. And there's no polling on his race, so we don't know. Do we know who he's running against?
Bill. Running against Bill. Bill Williamsonberg.
Bill.
Steenenson. Bergston.
Dan is one of those guys, I don't need to know who his opponent is. He's one of those guys that I want to win no matter who he's running against, basically. He's been great, and he'll be interesting to talk to, too, because he's a former Secret Service guy. So with all the stuff happening, with guys jumping over fences and entering the White House,
he's good.
He's going to be really interesting to talk to from that, because, not to mention he would be a great congressman.
And Clint Didier, listen to this. He wants to fully repeal Obamacare. He wants to eliminate the Department of Education and Energy. He wants to phase out Social Security. He wants to abolish the Federal Reserve and return to the gold standard.
This is your guy.
He will oppose all state tax or all tax increases.
Okay.
He wants to stop all foreign aid, and he wants to withdraw the United States from the United Nations.
Holy cow. This is almost a Ron Paul candidate.
This is a guy who...
Wow.
I mean...
That's awesome.
It's almost a romantic moment. I'm glad he's not here.
It'd be embarrassing.
A little awkward in person.
Yeah. Oh, no, this is conservative small government porn. That's what this is.
Well, it looks like we have some sort of misconnection with him, though, because he is not on the line. So maybe he's eliminated his cell phone service as well.
He's unplugged.
Along with the Department of Education.
All right.
It's too bad. It would have been great to talk to him, because good candidate.
Sounds it. We have Clint on with us. You don't want to miss tonight's broadcast at 5 o'clock. Clint is on the phone with us now. Hello, Clint. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very good, Mr. Beck, and I did meet you down at FreedomWorks in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, we did. Sorry about that. So, Clint, you are a dream come true on all of the things.
I'm just an American, and I can see where this country's headed. And I've got 4 children. I got 5 grandchildren, and I've lived the American dream. I got to play in the NFL, 3 Super Bowls, and it was all when Ronald Reagan was a president. And this country was united. We got our first black quarterback by the name of Doug Williams, and I caught a pass from him in Super Bowl 22. And since then, we've been on a slippery slope going downhill, and we've lost our moral compass. We've lost our direction. Nobody's looking at the Constitution anymore for direction. And I want to restore pride back in America. I want to get this country, I want to be part of the equation of getting it back on track for our kids and our grandchildren and every generation to come to live their dream.
How would you expect to get the Department of Education and Energy eliminated?
Well, let's look at how these were all brought into play. That was Jimmy Carter's era. The Department of Education, everybody thinks it's been around a long time. It was brought into play when Jimmy Carter was president. And when it was brought into play, we ranked 3rd in the world. Today we rank 36th in the world. And we're losing ground because we're not teaching the core principles of education anymore. We are now into this Common Core that I'm absolutely set against. I want to get this back to the states. You see, when Joe Gibbs brought in 8 tight ends to take my job every year, he told us, the players, that competition brings out the best in everyone. And so if we had 50 different educational systems with the core principles of course, teaching history and arithmetic and English, what used to be taught, then that will bring out the best. The cream will rise to the top, and people will go to the educational systems that are successful, and the rest will follow. And it's as easy as that. It's creating a competition so that it can build this educational system back to where it once was.
Tell me about abolishing the Federal Reserve. I mean,
it's not even part of our government. This Federal Reserve was created by these men that went out to Jekyll Island, and they thought up this grand scheme. It's not even part of our government, and yet we allow them to print the money, and they're devaluing our currency. To be honest with you,
I think we owe them now. I think we owe them now almost $5 trillion now. They've just inflated the money and just.
Yeah.
So how are you going to get out of it?
Well, you were there that day. David Schweikert he reported that the new report out, the new study, is with our unfunded liabilities of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and our debt. We're $205 trillion in the hole. How are we going to get out of that? We're going to have to unshackle our industries and let them run again. And this is one of the reasons why I'm running for this position, is because as a farmer here in eastern Washington, my wife and I, we farm 1,000 acres with 2 of my sons and a daughter, and we are under attack. They have determined a white bluffs bladderpod as an endangered species, and they are using that as a means to take away our water, as they are doing it all across America. The EPA was created December 2nd, 1970 by Richard Nixon with an R by his name. This agency doesn't even have the authority over the American people because it wasn't created through the powers of our government. It was supposed to be created through the legislature. We're allowing a lot of these agencies to create the harm to America when they don't even have the jurisdiction to do it. So we have to rein them in. And how do I propose to do that? By cutting their funds. And if we don't, then we are going to a nation that will not pass down freedom to our children.
How are your poll numbers?
Very good. We're in eastern Washington here, although we do have the West Siders, the grandfather of the establishment party, Slate Gordon's over here. He just paid for a hit ad on me, and it's pretty ugly. It's got me speaking at a Second Amendment rally, and as you well know, I'm telling people to get ready. As Joe Gibbs always told us, get ready for the worst possible predicament you can imagine, and that way you'll never be surprised. So if you get your food put in place, if you get a portable ham radio and get it in a Faraday box and get it somewhere where the EMP or a solar flare, and our government's warning us of a solar flare. I just seen it on Fox News the other day. If you get that put away, you have that confidence, the poise, that if something does happen, you're ready for it. As we see so many times across America, when people aren't ready is when the anxiety and the panic takes place, and then it's too late.
If the President of the United
I'm
States...
telling people to go ahead.
I was going to say, if the President of the United States were a responsible guy, he would be saying the same thing. He would be saying, don't panic. You just don't panic. There's no reason to panic, and you prepare for the worst and hope for the best. But, I mean, it was the United States government that buried cans and crackers and blankets and water underneath all of the federal buildings and state courthouses and county courthouses all across this nation during the Cold War. I mean, that's exactly what they did. We didn't have to use it, but it gave us peace of mind so we didn't have to panic.
And you see this grandfather, Slate Gordon's over here running this hit ad, and then he also says that if Clint Didier says that if we keep the weak alive, it only brings down the strong, and he shows a woman holding a child, which I was talking about business. When we keep propping up the businesses that aren't making it on their own, they're weakening the strong business.
That is despicable.
It is, and I encourage everyone to look at it, but this is what's going on. You see, this establishment party realizes one thing. If a true constitutional conservative, and Glenn, you lived here, you know about Washington State.
I do.
I don't know if you remember Slade Gordon.
I do.
But honestly, he doesn't have anything in his tenure that he can even speak of. I mean, the guy was taxed and raised, and he voted no for the impeachment of Bill Clinton. He really, his profile is just horrible as far as a senator for the United States of America. And they know if I win this, and I'm going to, it's going to change the landscape of the state of Washington. We're not only going to settle for being the 4th congressional member, we're going to also campaign and work hard to get other conservative politicians, or I like to call statesmen, elected in our state and going back to represent the federal government. We're going to turn the tide here in Washington State.
Clint, do you feel bad in retrospect playing for a football team with such a mean name?
You know, I haven't met a Native American yet, and I got one working on my staff that is offended by that. Quite honestly, they're all taken by it because they're remembered.
So we have Clint now on record saying that he's making Native Americans work for him. Notice that one.
That's right, and he does it on his own free will. He's a volunteer. But if it was so offensive, honestly, if that was so offensive to the American people, would we have them lining up and waiting in line to buy tickets and buying all the memorabilia from the Redskins?
No. In fact, it makes me want to buy more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm going to the game tonight. I might be rooting for the Redskins, and it's in Dallas, and I'm from Dallas. So, I mean, and all the Dallas people will turn around and be like, guys, it's just this anti-PC thing. And I might turn the whole crowd around. The whole crowd in Dallas may actually be cheering for the Redskins just because of the name. Clint,
Glenn,
go ahead.
When I was down there in Jackson Hole, you had some great memorabilia there, and you shared all of them with us, and it was just powerful. The one thing that sticks in my mind is the guy that was stuffing the papers down in the train. For those people over in Germany, we just lost our neighbor of 55 years. His name was Chris Chrisman. He flew 71 missions in World War II. He was a hero in our neighborhood. We just lost him. I got to spend an afternoon Sunday watching a football game with him here about a month ago, but my mom went and interviewed him, and the one thing that I can't get out of my mind is every mission he prayed. He prayed that he wouldn't drop bombs on the innocent people. He didn't pray for his own life. He prayed for the people, the innocent people. And we're being accused of being an evil nation, and that sticks in my mind because these men that go to fight for our liberty and our freedom, they live with him for the rest of their lives, and he took that to his deathbed. And I'd just like to give a little homage to Chris Chrisman, who just passed away. He was a neighbor here for 55 years, a great man.
Clint, I think we don't have to ask you how your soul is. I think you just answered it. God bless you, and best of luck next week. Running for U.S. Congress in Washington's 4th District, Clint Didier.
I think he's everything FreedomWorks says he is.
Yeah, boy, this guy.
Really good.
This guy would be
really good.
Fantastic.